this is me. My name is Marie. I'm a scenography student at Art Academy Minerva in Groningen. After studying theatre for 2.5 years, it was time for a challenge, something new. So I decided it was time to take a step out of my comfort zone by participating in the minor Art and Technology. This minor takes half a year and has one big assignment: make something for the night of art and science. So why is it surprising for everyone around me, but most of all for myself, that I am doing the minor Art and Technology? It lies in the second part, the technology part. I usually just stay away from technology. Technology doesn't like me and I don't like technology. I can make computers crash just by looking at them. But then I realized that technology is so much more than machines. The social aspect of technology is really interesting. How does it change our lives? How do we use it? For someone who has named both her phone and vacuum cleaner, that's quite a turn on. The group was formed, the minor started, and off we went. Suddenly there are thousands of documentaries you can watch and a lot of other artists who use technology as well. I started reading books non-stop, short films before I went to bed. We had a variety of classes, focusing on theory, Arduino boards, researching, prototyping, etc. But also, what kind of team player are you? One of my stronger points is organizing and zooming out. So there's a lot of inspiration all around. It can be a little bit overwhelming though. But wait, I'm going too fast, aren't I? Maybe I should go a little slower. Let's start with the theoretical stuff. One of the sources for our theoretical background are the lessons by one of the Daans. Daan Tweehuizen has given us a lecture once a week for 8 weeks, which is, not just by his own saying, not nearly long enough. So we got some kind of an overview. Roughly, you can separate the lessons in 2 blocks. One, the more psychological block, focusing on human behavior, but also incorporating cognitive and neurobiological aspects. How do we perceive art, for instance? How does the human eye work? In the second part of the 8-week series, we went into the field of technology in combination with art. That might seem as an impossible connection. However, we learned that technology and art can have a very close relationship. A second important theory source for me is a book by Joke Hermsen. Having used it before in my scenography studies, I knew that she has quite an interesting taste on the subject time. So, when we decided that one of our goals in the installation would be to slow down time, I went straight to my bookshelves. Joke Hermsen describes 2 different types of time. 1. Clock time. So 1 minute is 60 seconds, 60 minutes makes an hour, etc. The second one is an interesting one for our project. The experience of time, our inner clock. She also gives us some tips on how to alter the experience of time, surprise the viewers and take them out of their comfort zone a little. You can do that by taking their breath away by making your piece of art big. Go big or go home. So, with all this knowledge in store, we took on the challenge to make our own theory. The idea of the panopticon as a social structure is made by Michel Foucault. In this structure, there's a society which is led by rulers. The inhabitants are always aware that they might be watched and therefore also watch each other. This will affect their behavior as a group. In a panopticon society, the rules have to be followed by everyone. So, there's a lot of peer pressure, because one can screw it up for the rest. Changes can be made by an individual, but are more effective when executed together. The same goes for sustainability. You can make sustainable choices alone, but the impact is greater when they are made by more people at once. So, you have to do something to change something. Still, the questions remain. What are the right choices? How do you make the right choices? And how do you know afterward that you have indeed made the correct decision? We also went researching. Sustainability is a hot item in our installation. We did not just go into theory. We also started researching in 3 different ways. 1. We started researching all the aspects of our loose ideas. One of the methods is brainstorming. 1 big paper, some pencils, and off we went. We had a lot of associations. Afterwards, we made categories. All in all, we structured our thoughts. 2. Desk research. As I said earlier, I dived into books. The challenge was to get the ideas that exist in them translated to usable ideas for the installation we now knew we wanted to build at the central place in the city of Groningen, the fish market. 3. Last but not least, there's a big world out there full of documentaries, films and interviews, so watching television became real work, but thanks to the internet you can also watch back a lot of things. After the research, we knew that we wanted to make people aware and not just push solutions surrounding the subject of sustainability down their throats. That you can change things on your own, but it's faster and the impact is greater by doing it together. We also followed a course in Arduino to get some basic knowledge. For me, it was quite overwhelming. We only had a couple of lessons, so we went through it quite fast, but once it clicked, I was off. So what is Arduino? In my language, it's a computer you can program yourself. You buy the parts and have to put it together. That you can do in different ways, so it can do different things. It's great for an installation, because you want to work with doors that open and close. The ideas of what you can do with this little computer are endless. You can hook it up to sensors, pressure sensors, light sensors, etc. You can program it that way that you can have a personal relationship with technology. It reacts to you. And for me, that's the interesting part. Maybe now, when I call my vacuum cleaner, it will say something back. We needed this course to be able to think in a certain way, to know the possibilities. Or, as one of our teachers once said, we know now what the ingredients are, so let's bake a cake. On to prototyping. Roughly, we chose 2 types of prototyping, a small scale and a bigger scale. 2 of my classmates made a scale model of the fish market. This helped with perceiving the space. How big are the buildings surrounding the market, for example? I think it really helped us a step further. First, I was a little worried about the measurements of the whole thing, but now it was clear there was nothing to worry about. Having a scale model gave me some air. We also did some one-on-one scaling. Using one of the larger rooms in our academy, we taped the outline of our installation on the floor. We threw some objects in there like a ball and some spray cans. We divided ourselves in 2 groups and gave each other tasks to do in a marked area. As a student whose study is subcategorized in the spatial design part of the Art Academy, this is a very important part for me. You can only see so much in a scale model. Once you put people in a certain space, only then will it really make sense. It was the first time the social aspect played a role, which is something that is going to be really important in our installation. How do people work together? For us, the step to work together was easily made. We already knew each other. But how will it work with 4 strangers? We got some nice conclusions out of this experiment. For example, humankind thrives on competition. Once we gave the participants the opportunity to beat one another at a game, the enthusiasm rose dramatically. And also that you can get a message across quicker by making it fun. Now we arrive at the conclusion. We will build an installation, and we have called it Panopticon. It will be a combination of art, technology and sustainability. It will be at the fish market and will use the difference between clock time and the experience of time to create an impact on our visitors. But most of all, we will put our visitors in a situation in which they will have to make choices. This is only the first 8 weeks of the minor, so 8 more weeks to come.